The 6 human gods were drawn to Tyria through the mists as they sensed the magical powers of the Artesian waters. Dhuum is said to have stepped through first, followed in tow by Balthazar, the god of war. Balthazar was flanked on either side by one of his hounds, and in his hand, the severed head of his father. The third god to step through the portal was Melandru. Melandru is said to be the eldest of the gods and urged peace, but was mostly ignored. The other 3 gods are Lissa, Abaddon, and Dhuum. The last 2 will come to play a significant role still in this video. The 6 gods built their city of Ara right there in Or, collecting powerful magical artifacts from all across Tyria. Abaddon created reliquaries in which to keep their prize artifacts, in the area that is now known as Siren's Landing. They also became aware of the elder dragons hibernating on this world, though sensed that these powerful creatures were linked to the flow of magic on Tyria. The gods lived among the humans of Or for years, the latter only coming to Or around 205 BE, as opposed to Kantha, where the first record of human settlements dates back to 786 BE. The humans were gifted a small amount of magic by the gods, though when they decided to really spread magic throughout the world, it was Abaddon that took this task upon him. He granted unique magic to the creatures he deemed worthy. Abaddon, however, handed out magic a bit too freely, and nations that had the most magic started waging war on those with less magic. When King Dorek, the first human king, saw his people's plight, he pleaded the gods to take back the gift of magic to help end the wars. Abaddon was the only god that didn't agree with this, and so the others went behind his back and gathered what magic they could, storing it into the Bloodstone. They then shattered the Bloodstone into 5 pieces and cast them all around the world, limiting the possible use of magic. When Abaddon found out, he was furious. Apparently he then left the company of the other gods, retaining his divine status and power, though making no more decisions. One particular group of Abaddon worshippers, the Morganites, learned of the revocation of magic and decided to take revenge on behalf of their god. They journeyed to the temple of the 6 gods and slaughtered the priests of the other 5 gods, desecrated their altars, and defaced the statues and scriptures. The Forgotten was a race of serpents that also worshipped the human gods, and they didn't take lightly to this insult to the other 5 gods. What followed was the largest naval battle in human history, where the Morganites stood barely a chance against the Forgotten. Seeing their armada being absolutely destroyed by the Forgotten, a Morganite faithful prayed to his god Abaddon for help. For a long time there was nothing but silence, but then the sea started to bubble. Large tempests started to form, and from beneath the sea, a large gaping void appeared, swallowing the Forgotten fleet. The Morganite who called upon his god for help would be known as Jadoth, who became Abaddon's first champion, being transformed into a demonic being. At this time, Abaddon was all but overcome with hatred and anger, and vowed to defeat the other gods and claim Tyria for himself, aiming to reside as its one true god. Abaddon was the strongest of the gods, and this showed, as the battle seemed to be going in his favor. Eventually, however, the other 5 gods managed to defeat Abaddon, and whether unwilling or unable to destroy him, they chose to imprison him within his realm. Along with him, a score of his Morganite followers were imprisoned as well, both they and their god bound by chains crafted by Balthazar himself, and a host of forgotten jailers to keep watch over them. The place where Abaddon fell became known as the Mouth of Torment, and the city of Mora was built there to maintain vigil, as the link between Tyria and the mists was weakest there. An interesting note here is that before all of this occurred, the god Dhuum was replaced by Grenth. The latter was the love child of Dhuum and a human sculptor named Malkor, so a demigod. Along with 7 mortals, he fought and defeated Dhuum, claiming his place among the gods and his role as a god of death. Interesting to note that Grenth and his 7 reapers weren't actually able to kill Dhuum, but instead imprisoned him, much like what happened later with Abaddon. After these events, the gods withdrew from the world of Tyria in an occurrence now known as the Exodus. Before they went, Dhuum had instructed Malkor to create statues of the gods, so the humans could worship them still even after their departure. This exodus marked the beginning of the Muvelian calendar, and Malkor's leap is a testimony of the sculptor's love for his goddess. Though imprisoned, the strongest of the gods didn't just give up without a fight, and over the years, Abaddon's power seeped through the mists into Tyria. One demonic servant of Abaddon persuaded Shiro Tagachi to murder Emperor Anxian in Kantha, his actions leading to his death, causing the Jade Wind. Other of his demonic minions we know as the Titans. These Titans posed as gods for the Flame Legion of the Char, giving them the rituals which led to the Searing. Another interference of these demonic minions was when the Char were on Or's doorstep. One of these demons posed as an advisor and coerced Vizier Kilbron to unleash the Cataclysm that sunk Or. All this to prepare for an event known as Nightfall. During these events, both Balthazar and Grenth were fighting their own battles in their own realms. Balthazar was beset by his half-brother Menzies, while Grenth faced the forces of the previous god of death, Dhuum. The latter had accumulated enough power to break free of his imprisonment and wanted revenge on Grenth. Through the aid of mortals, however, Menzies' forces were pushed back and Dhuum was returned to his dormant state. The Nightfall event started at around 1075 AE, when an Alolan leader was groomed by one of Abaddon's followers into fulfilling his ancient prophecy, where Abaddon would return to the land of the mortals. With the help of Dhuum and Menzies, this almost succeeded as well. This prophecy was only stopped by the Order of the Sunspears and the Order of Whispers, whom entered the realm of Torment itself and defeated Abaddon along with a group of heroes. The power of a god, however, cannot be destroyed, and with Abaddon's defeat, his out-of-control power threatened to destroy the world. Spear Marshal Cormyr of the Sunspears was given the blessing by the other 5 gods to absorb this rampant power, and thus ascending to godhood herself, becoming the goddess of truth. The surge of this power transfer, however, stirred the dragon Primordus from its slumber and started a new dragon cycle. The gods decided that there could be no victor in a fight against the Elder Dragons, that their clashing powers would rip Tyria apart, and so they decided to leave Tyria for good. All gods but one. Balthazar, the god of war, cursed his fellow gods for their cowardice and refused to turn from this challenge. He vowed as well that he would punish the other gods. Before he could act, however, the other 5 gods imprisoned him and stripped him of his divine power, chaining him in the mists. One of Cormyr's priests later received a vision where it showed that the remaining 5 gods were looking for a new world where they could take their faithful, away from the strife on Tyria. I hope you enjoyed this lore recap. If you did, make sure to move that like button and enjoy your adventures.